I, 32mm, think my wife, let's call her Brianna, 28F, is cheating on me. I met Brianna at the company where I work. She was newly hired, and I was the one assigned to guide her through her first few weeks. From the start, Brianna was the kind of person who'd enter a room and catch everyone's attention. Despite her beauty, she never seemed aware of the attention she got. Men in the office would always glance at her, but she rarely noticed them. When she did, she'd give a polite smile and quickly return to her task. Her clothes were always modest, as they were mostly long skirts and conservative tops. Despite her looks, she kept to herself, always polite but never overly familiar with anyone. Brianna rarely joined us for after-work drinks or parties. She went straight home since she preferred to spend her evenings reading or attending her cooking class. It wasn't that she was unfriendly, she was just shy and very reserved. When we did have lunch together, our conversations were always light and pleasant, but never too personal. Because of Brianna's personality, she didn't have a lot of friends, especially from the women who I think were jealous of her. I was one of her few close friends in the company, since I'm the one she has always been with since her start, and our friendship has continued for years. Eventually, I fell in love with her. It took me ages to confess, but it was all worth it. To my relief, she felt the same way. We started dating, and soon everyone was talking in the office as I had won the heart of the girl everyone admired. We got married a year ago after our 3-year romantic relationship. We have decided to delay having children to enjoy our newlywed life. Brianna also asked if she could quit her job and be a stay-at-home wife. She said she wanted to enjoy herself and be free in the meantime before she became the mother of our child. Of course, I couldn't say no to that, and I also agree with her since I am also earning more than enough for both of us, so there's really no problem. She's been participating in tons of recreational activities like she always does, but this time she gets to join everything she wants. In the morning, she's doing yoga or Pilates. She's also in a baking class, a meditation group, and more. Every morning, she actually goes out first, while I wake up to a breakfast already prepared in the kitchen. Sometimes she went out alone and other times with her friends. However, during the weekends, we were always both at home to spend quality time with each other. I never questioned her activities, where she went, or who she was with because I trust her, and I believe we have too much respect for each other to do something that would break each other's trust. I really thought we were living the ideal life, but as you all have read in the beginning, I'm beginning to regret that I trusted her. Okay, so here's what made me doubt her. Brian, 30M, suddenly called me and asked if he could come over in the middle of the night. Brian is my longtime friend whom I knew from the previous company we worked in. When I moved to another company, he followed, so we have pretty much known each other for a decade now. We had been through a lot together, so his late-night call was unusual and unsettling since he does not normally do that. Also, his voice on the other end was strained, not the easygoing tone I was used to. He said he needed to talk and he couldn't wait until morning. I could sense the urgency in his words, though he didn't explain why he was so desperate to see me. I agreed to let him come over. Brianna was on a weekend vacation with her friends while I was still on a night out. So I told him to just enter our house and tell him where the spare keys were. As soon as I got home, I rushed to him thinking he got into trouble or had some serious problem, but I was wrong because as soon as I saw him, he started crying and saying sorry. He said he couldn't bear to hide it anymore after I helped him pay for his mother's hospital bills. I calmed him so we could talk properly, and what happened next shattered me. Apparently, Brian and Brianna have been cheating with each other behind my back for years. Not only that, but he also said that my wife is living a double life and is actually a sex worker. I was stunned. My heart felt like it had stopped and the room seemed to spin. This couldn't be real. I didn't know what to do. All I could think of at that time was how big of a liar Brian was. My Brianna can't do that. She's not like that. She can't even kill a roach. I was angry. I started shouting at Brian, calling him a liar. He tried to calm me, but before I knew it, I had punched him in the jaw. I couldn't contain my rage, so I ended up dragging him towards the door, yelling and telling him to get out, throwing him out, and slamming the door behind him. Is he trying to destroy my life? The silence that followed after Brian left was deafening, and the realization of what I had done began to sink in. Should I try to talk with him first? But what he did was really way below the belt. Despite the attention Brianna got from men everywhere, I believed in her fidelity. I trust her. So, when Brian told me those accusations, could you blame me if my initial reaction was to think Brian was trying to sabotage my perfect marriage out of jealousy or some hidden agenda? I mean, over the years I've noticed signs. I knew he liked Brianna. I saw how his eyes lingered on my wife on her first day at our company. I saw the way Brian's eyes would follow her across the room and how he would find excuses to sit next to her, touch her arm, or engage her in conversation. At the time, I thought of it as a harmless, friendly gesture. After all, we were friends. I couldn't just let what happened slide, so as soon as Brianna came back from her trip last night, I told her what happened. I needed to hear her side of the story, to see her reaction. As I told her Brian's accusations, I watched her face closely, and for a quick moment I saw something change in her expression. Guilt, perhaps, or fear. But just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. She denied all the allegations, dismissed Brian's words as lies, and claimed that he was trying to destroy our relationship. As soon as she said that, I knew something was wrong. She is not the type to say horrible things to another person. The whole time that I knew her, she always saw the best in every person she met. I mean, the quick change in her reaction is a giveaway, but I could just dismiss that as her being shocked. But her replies? It's not normal. I couldn't help but overthink every little detail and imagine the worst possible scenarios. What if Brian was right? What if Brianna had been deceiving me all along? The thought was unbearable. I started scrutinizing Brianna's every move, her every word. I started checking her phone when she wasn't looking. I needed to make sure there were no signs of cheating, even the tiniest bit of detail. But I found nothing concrete. The lack of evidence only fueled my paranoia and anxiety. Was she really that good at hiding her tracks, or was there really nothing to hide? As the days went by, I couldn't help but think that Brianna was hiding something. But now I honestly feel like I am losing my mind, and this is why I am here. What do you think, guys? AITA for thinking my wife really cheated? Update 1. Thank you for all the comments in my last post. It's been a week, and I just wanted to talk about what had happened ever since. First, I wanted to address some comments. I called some of them out already, but I wanted to say it again. Please don't include the physical appearance of my wife in your negative comments. I am not even asking for opinions about her face, okay? Also, a lot of you have been saying that I'm the AH, but what I recently discovered says otherwise. After Brian's confession, I couldn't see him anywhere in the office. HR said he did not come, then I just heard he passed a resignation letter. Anyway, as some of you suggested, I talked with Brian again. This time I was calmer and have thought a lot about it. We met shortly in a cafe near the office after working hours. I straightforwardly asked him about what I wanted, the proof. At first he was shocked, maybe because I was entertaining the thought of Brianna cheating. But to ease my mind, I needed to do it. I wanted him to say it was all a prank and say Brianna planned it with him and was just testing me, until he asked if I only wanted to look at it, or if I wanted a copy. I did not expect his question, even though I should have. I ended up asking if he could send the copy so I could check if it's real or not, or use it to confront Brianna. To my disbelief, Brian sent a lot of evidence. Their messages, nasty photos, and even photos and conversations with Brianna's clients. Apparently, Brianna shares them with him and asks his manly opinion regarding her clients. As tears fell down my cheeks, I asked how long that they had been cheating on me and how they become a thing. Apparently, one of Brianna's clients wanted a three-way, and Brian was the first person she could think of. From then on, he was Brianna's contact for that kind of setup, until they also became a thing. Since Brian knew what Brianna's work was, she shared stories about it with him. I was so captivated by Brianna too much that I didn't notice them doing disgusting things behind my back. Is this all my fault for not noticing their affair? I mean, how could I? I trusted them both. After our conversation, all my energy left my body. I couldn't bring myself to stand up to the point that Brian had to help me get inside my car. I sat there for what seemed like an eternity. I was scared to get home and face Brianna. I was scared to drive, thinking I might just get myself to heaven. I ended up spending the night in my car with an empty stomach and hundreds of messages and missed calls from Brianna. The next day, I really couldn't bring myself home, so I decided to stay at a hotel near my office. On my 4th day in the hotel, Brianna must have called me 1,000 times. Already before I decided to answer her call, her voice was very worried, like it was real, like she hadn't been cheating on me all this time. She asked me where I had been for the past few days, and I couldn't come up with an excuse, so I told her I was on a business trip. Then she started to cry, asking if I was cheating because she went to my office and they told her I filed for a sick leave. Does she not feel guilty saying those words? What a hypocrite. I ended the call while she was crying and talking. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't bear to hear her voice anymore. At the back of my mind, I ask myself, should I forget what Brian told me and forgive Brianna to rebuild our marriage or get a divorce? I love her too much to leave her, but I think what she did is horrible and is beyond fixing. I couldn't let this slide. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I am glad that a lot of you said that what she did was beyond repairable. This gave me the reassurance I needed. I know what she did was really terrible, so now I just wanted to confront her. I wanted to hear it from her. I wanted her to admit her malicious affairs. I wanted her to admit how she betrayed me. This way I can finally move on, I think. So, before I went home, I made sure I was already in a better condition so that I could finally confront Brianna. When I was near our house, I checked if she was at home, and fortunately she was not. I needed to print the pictures of her affair, and I couldn't do that in a printing shop. It was too risky. Hours later, she walked in. She rushed over, wrapping her arms around me while crying, and apologized for how she acted. At that moment, I couldn't look at her the same way as before. My mind screamed with the images of her affair. I wondered how she could embrace me with such ease, knowing what she had done. How could she act like this after betraying the person who had been beside her all this time? Who did nothing to hurt her, who only loves her? After she realized I was not hugging back, she pulled away and stared at me with confusion. I asked her if she did something behind my back, with my best friend, and with other guys. She cried and cried, saying I hurt her and what I've said is too much. Wow. Just wow. I felt my heart wanting to get out of my chest as I handed her the photos. She glanced at them and was shocked by what she saw. She stammered as she tried to find the words to explain, but I could see the panic in her eyes. I was silently standing in front of her, tears falling and hoping she would just admit what she did. She denied everything, even with the evidence right in front of her. Her tears flowed freely as she swore she loved, that nothing had happened. She even claimed that it was all photoshopped and claimed Brian was just messing with our relationship. But the pictures told a different story. I was with Brian when he opened their conversation and Brianna's profile to prove it was all real. My patience snapped and I threw the rest of the photos on the table. I couldn't take it anymore. Years of loyalty, love, and trust were just thrown in the trash. I left her as she pleaded for forgiveness. Why was she apologizing? Does that mean she confesses? I went back to the hotel. I couldn't face her anymore and couldn't bear to be around her. When I see her face, the photos of her affair flash in my mind. I hate it. Also, the more I thought about it, the more I realized she might have been cheating for years. I was not only backstabbed by my wife, but also by my best friend too. I couldn't let her get away with it. I needed to make her understand what she did to me. I needed to do something to get back at her. The love I had for her was gone and was replaced by a burning desire for justice. I wasn't going to be the same person anymore that she thinks she can manipulate and toy forever. I would make sure she felt every bit of the hurt she caused. Any suggestions? Update 3. I know this is evil, but as the saying goes, an eye for an eye. Months passed, and after planning my revenge, I figured I should just do what she did to me. Make her best friend fall in love with me. It was twisted, but I was convinced it was the perfect payback. Anyway, if you're wondering what happened to Brianna, well, we're still both living under the same roof. I told her I couldn't live without her so she could make up for all her mistakes. I want her to fall in love so deeply with me. Lily, 28F, is Brianna's best friend, whom she has known ever since they were kids. Lily was always the compassionate and empathetic type. She had a heart too big for her own good, always wanting to fix things, always wanting to help. I exploited that. I started confiding in Lily about my troubles with Brianna. I made sure I was the broken-hearted husband who was lost and betrayed. No one knew about Brianna's affair except me and Brian. So to make Brianna the villain in our story, I subtly suggested that Brianna was distant and unloving to make it seem like our marriage was barely holding on. Lily, of course, felt sorry for me. She began to spend more time with me because she felt bad about what her best friend did to me and offered her support and advice. We started meeting for coffee, then for dinner. Every time I see her, I can't help but be giddy as everything is going according to plan. I also made sure to be vulnerable, to show her a side of me that I knew would touch her heart. As I carried out my revenge, there were moments when guilt gnawed at me. Lily was innocent in all of this, and using her to hurt Brianna felt wrong, even if I convinced myself it was justified. But every time that guilt surfaced, I pushed it down, reminding myself of the betrayal I faced from her best friend. Slowly, our relationship leveled up to something more intimate. I made her feel special and created moments that made her feel like she was the only one who truly understood me. I made sure to be there for her just as she was for me. It was all calculated, all part of the plan. I'm not really sure why I was sharing this with you guys, but I guess I wanted to help those people who were in the same position as me. I hope this helps you, LOL. I knew she was falling for me, and I made sure to keep her there. I ramped up my seduction of Lily. I set up situations where we'd be alone, and then one evening the tension finally snapped. We were alone. It was inevitable. Our affair began without Brianna knowing. Lily believed she was helping me, that she was the angel in my hell of a life. I made sure every intimate moment with Lily was documented. I have photos and videos to ensure that I have control over her. It was a dark insurance policy that would guarantee she wouldn't turn on me once she realized the truth. And every time we meet secretly, it brings me joy knowing that every step brings me closer to my revenge. Although, to be honest, even in those moments, a part of me felt a pang of remorse. What kind of person was I becoming, hurting Lily just to get back at Brianna? I think I no longer know the line between justice and cruelty, and sometimes I wondered if I was losing more of myself in this quest for revenge than I had initially lost to Brianna's betrayal. Update far. I was not satisfied. I needed more. Why settle for her best friend when I could also get her sister? Let's call her Emily, 24F. Brianna's younger sister, who had always looked up to me. She saw me as the perfect husband, and she was very vocal about it. I know she had a secret little crush on me, and I didn't mind, thinking it was like a happy crush. It wasn't hard to see that she admired me, perhaps more than she should. So I decided to use this to my advantage. I started paying her extra attention, complimenting her on the little things. I'd comment on her new haircut, her choice of outfit, or how smart she was. I made sure to create opportunities for us to be alone, whether it was helping her with a project or offering to drive her somewhere. I started venting out my marriage problems, not the cheating issue of Brianna, so she could see how my marriage with her sister was bound to fall apart. I opened up about my unhappy marriage and how I felt unappreciated and unloved. I noticed that she started to get emotionally attached when she continuously messaged me all day for weeks. So I called her out, saying what she was doing was a little inappropriate, and then she confessed that she began seeing me as more than just her bill. I was so happy. Everything was going according to plan. So when Emily asked me to have an affair with her, well, who was I to refuse? But to be honest, I hesitated with my plan. Even though we weren't that close before whatever was happening right now, I knew this was wrong. That using her like this would hurt her deeply. But my desire for revenge clouded my judgment. I reassured her that Brianna would not know about our affair and promised her that I would soon divorce Brienne to be with her. Just like that, another pawn in my collection, I kept her loyal and compliant, using her feelings for me to my advantage. Emily was mine now, just like her sister and her sister's best friend. And I wasn't about to let the three of them go. Not yet. I kept seducing Emily, and I made sure she felt like I would sacrifice everything for her. I bought her little trinkets, flowers, and anything to keep her feeling special and adored. Of course, like what I did with Lily, I made sure to take evidence. I ensured I had leverage over her just in case things ever went south. Of course, everything took months. After having a relationship with Lily, it took me months to have one with Emily. I was actually surprised that I was able to juggle my mistresses. They believed they were the only ones who truly mattered to me. And, of course, I made sure neither was aware of the other, or else they might snitch everything to Brianna. Oh, you think I'm done? No, I want to show Brianna what it feels like to be truly hurt. Brianna's birthday is coming up, and I figured out that that's the perfect moment for my revenge. Anyway, I know most of you will say AITA. I just couldn't stop myself anymore. My mind is clouded, and I can't think straight. My brain is always shouting revenge, revenge, revenge. And sometimes when I'm alone, I feel a little pang of guilt, but my heart was too broken because of Brianna, and the heartache was overpowering the guilt. I know deep down that what I'm doing is wrong, that manipulating these women who trusted me is unforgivable. But I just can't stop. The pain Brianna caused me is too much to bear, and this is the only way I know to cope. Can you blame me? I'm the victim here, okay? Update 5. My plan to seduce my wife's sister and best friend went according to plan, just before the big revelation. It's been months since my last update, and although it's hard to keep up with 3 partners, it ended soon. Also, Brianna's birthday was just last week and ended with a bang. Brianna's birthday celebration was a surprise and was held in our house. I invited Emily and Lily, just the 4 of us. I wouldn't want other people here, they might kill me, lol. Emily arrived first, then Lily. Brianna was shocked as she didn't expect them to be there. As the evening progressed, I kept the mood light, chatting and laughing to make sure everyone was comfortable. When it was time, I excused myself, saying there was a special surprise I wanted to share. I had set up a presentation, supposedly a collection of Brianna's happy memories, but as I fumbled with the remote, pretending there was a technical glitch, the true show began. The screen flickered to life, displaying photos and videos of Brianna's affair and her sex work life. Everyone was shocked, especially Emily and Lily, and I'm sure I saw it in their face, how they think they were the ones I deserve. But the next thing they knew, pieces of evidence of my affair with them were shown on the screen. Brianna's face was twisted in shock and horror, unable to look away. Emily and Lily are equally stunned because their secrets are shown before everyone. Everyone's mischiefs were now out in the open. As the presentation ended, I had already sent the copy to her immediate family members. I stood back, savoring the chaos. They were all too stunned to speak as their own guilt and shame were written all over their faces. I left the house not long after. As much as I want to enjoy their reaction, I'm afraid for my life, lol. It's been a month since that incident. I've already filed for a divorce and am currently renting out an apartment. I resigned from my previous company. I wanted to move on. After everything that happened, there's a part of me that still feels remorse. I know what I did was wrong, and sometimes the guilt creeps in when I'm alone. It's not easy to admit, but I was hurt and broken. Brianna's betrayal really broke me, and I reacted in a way that a better version of myself would have never chosen. I hurt people who didn't deserve it, and that eats at me. I wonder if there was a different path, a better way to handle my pain. Maybe then things wouldn't have spiraled out of control. Just a food for thought. Anyway, if you guys are curious about Brian, I don't know where the hell is he, and I don't care. I'm grateful for him, though. He confessed. And I was able to get revenge. Imagine if Brianna kept having affairs for the rest of my life. As for Brianna, well, her family disowned her, saying she was a shame to them. I kicked her out of the house, since I bought it before our marriage. I hope she rots on the streets. Anyway, ever since her birthday, we haven't talked. Not like I was planning it. Neither of us has reached out to each other. I was actually anxious if she would get back at me. Haha. What would she do, sue me? Not like she didn't cheat first, lol. Anyway, that's all Reddit. If you're still reading up to this point, well, thank you so much. And to all who have been helpful to me, I might delete this account soon. I don't want you guys to find out who I am IRL. Top comments. Roar. Okay, that took a lot of guts to expose everything like that. Brianna needed to be held accountable for her actions. And those girls? My God, they're so gullible, lol. It must have been incredibly satisfying to see their reactions, and I can only imagine the relief you felt after finally revealing everything. Way to go, man. Show them who's the alpha. Also, kudos to your man for revealing the truth. It's just like what they said, bros before hoes. Devil in disguise. This looks fake, lol. But if it was real, this just feels so wrong on so many levels. I get that you were hurt and wanted to expose the truth, but publicly shaming everyone involved. And in the first place, why would you do that? Are you not ashamed of what you did? Well, obviously. You're so proud of what you did that you even posted it here. What an AH. You clearly lack empathy. You could have found a better way to deal with the situation, like suing her or whatever. But no, you had to involve and hurt other people just so you can get back. What a jerk.